Whichever way we approach it, the TVS Orbiter, TVS's third electric scooter, is different from everything else from the brand. But what makes it so different? And is the sum total worth the asking price? We'll find out in this video, but before we proceed, click on the subscribe button. Done? Let's continue. The first thing that sets the Orbiter apart is its design. Call it funky, futuristic or minimalist, it is something that you will definitely give a second glance to, especially in this neon sunburst color. Moreover, unique touches like this seemingly half-finished front fender or these square design alloys and especially these wraparound DRLs and tail lights, which also double up as indicators, are something that will catch your attention. One strange addition, however, is this fly screen, which sticks out like a sore thumb and breaks the overall sleek profile. But there's more to the Orbiter than just looks. For example, this cubby hole here is actually a theft deterrent, and it also stops your mobile from falling out when you're going over a bump. The Orbiter's seat height is perfect for riders of all sizes. And even for a tall rider like me, there's enough space between my knees and the handlebar. But that's not all. The floor mold is long enough so that my knees are in a comfortable bend. And there's also enough space to keep a bag attached with this nifty hook. And speaking of convenience, if you feel your mobile can get damaged while in this cubby hole, you could as well keep it in your bag while it's getting charged. However, we feel it would be better if the USB charging port was on the apron rather than on the handlebar stalk. But what if you have a pillion? What to do about his luggage? Not to worry. The underseat storage is large enough to fit all of your pillion's knickknacks without even getting rid of the charger. And this soft mat at the bottom of the storage keeps the vibrations at bay as well. On the move, the larger front wheel on the Orbiter is quite helpful when you're making swift direction changes. However, the overall ride quality is just about adequate for such a lightweight scooter. Larger bumps and speed breakers are felt, though not jarringly so, and the preload adjustment for the rear suspension is quite helpful for ironing out smaller undulations. Now, looking at the specifications and acceleration figures on the Orbiter, you would think this is just another tame city runabout. And in the eco mode, with the 45 km/h top speed, you are well within your rights to think so. The fun, however, starts in the higher power city mode, where you can not only quite easily overtake traffic within the city, but also keep up with vehicles on the open road. And yet, the Orbiter is not built for sustained high-speed runs. The skinny tires are prone to tramlining and even lose their line when going over multiple undulations. Additionally, the braking could have been a lot better, and the lack of a front disc, even as an option, is very apparent. E-scooter tech has been democratized nowadays, which means that the Orbiter's long list of features, both on the scooter as well as available via the app, means it can go toe-to-toe with similarly priced rivals. However, two inclusions really stand out. The first is hill hold. When the motor senses the scooter rolling back on a hill, a long press on any one of the brake levers automatically activates hill hold, and it can be deactivated by twisting the throttle. The second is cruise control, which is again activated by simply pressing this button on the left switch gear twice, and deactivated by squeezing the brakes or simply twisting the throttle. Most manufacturers' range figures need to be taken with a pinch of salt, and that's what we did when we first saw the Orbiter. But now that we have it all to ourselves, we put it to the test. And though the difference between the quoted figures and the tested figures were significant, they still weren't too much for the Orbiter to be considered just a commuter. In terms of charging time, however, the quoted figures and our tested figures were actually quite close. However, the lack of fast charging even as an option is quite a downer. The TVS Orbiter actually has quite a few shortcomings, like the lack of a front disc and fast charging even as an option, inconsistent ride quality, and a very shallow underseat storage. However, TVS can fix most of these, if not all of these issues, with an update, or could even improve upon them with a higher spec Orbiter ST variant. But as it stands, the Orbiter has more going for it than against it. So, if you are okay with its quirky looks and don't mind the lack of vanity features like a TFT console, then you will be quite happy with the TVS Orbiter.